So hey friends, today we are going to talk about first what are magic functions in IPython, second rules to use them, and third we will see some of the most common magic functions. So first, what is IPython? IPython is a command cell for interactive computing. It provides a rich toolkit to help you make the most out of using Python interactively. Its main components are first, a powerful interactive Python shell, and second a Jupyter kernel to work with Python code in Jupyter notebooks and other interactive frontends. The enhanced interactive Python shells and kernel have the following main features. First, comprehensive object introspection. We know that everything in Python are objects, so through object introspection, we will get the info about a particular object. Second is the input history. This is very important and it has many features. We will see this later in the video. And with that, persistent across sessions, that we can create sessions and logs, and we can also start and stop them whenever we want. And third is caching of output results during a session with automatically generated references. And fourth one is the extensible tab completion with support by default for completion of Python variables, keywords, file names, and function keywords. So the tab completion is a convenient way to explore the structure of any object. And the fifth one is the extensible system of magic commands for controlling the environment and performing many tasks related to IPython or the operating system. Session logging and reloading. Next, the extensible syntax processing for special purpose situations. Next, access to the system shell with the user extensible alias names are easily embeddable in other Python programs and GUIs. Integrated access to the PDB debugger and the Python profiler. The command line interface inherits Java functionality and adds real multi-line editing thanks to prompt toolkit, syntax highlighting as you type, integration with command line editor for a better workflow. The kernel also has its share of features. When used with compatible frontend, it allows the object to create a rich display of HTML, images, latex, sound, and video. Second, the interactive widgets with the use of IPy widgets package. So the interactive widgets is very helpful when we are dealing with a graph or something that changes over time. So first I want to thank Carlinge Willems for this useful blog. So if you want to read this, uh, the link is in the description. If you want to know the history of IPython or notebooks in general, then this blog is very useful. So for the gist, in late 2001, roughly 20 years after Guido van Rossum began to work on Python at the National Research Institute for Mathematics and Computer Science in the Netherlands, Fernando Perez started developing IPython. The project was heavily influenced by the Mathematica notebooks and Maple worksheets, just like the Sage notebook and many other projects that followed. So now let's talk about magic functions. IPython will treat any line whose first character is a percentage as a special call to a magic function. These allow you to control the behavior of the IPython itself, plus a lot of system type features. They are all prefixed with a percentage character, but parameters are given without parentheses or quotes, just like when we pass parameters in the rpass. Lines that begin with double percentage signal a cell magic. They take They take as arguments not only the rest of the current line but all the lines below them as well. In the current execution block, cell magics can in fact make arbitrary modifications to the input they receive which need not even be a valid Python code at all. They receive the whole block as a single string. For example, the %cd magic works just like the OS command of the same name. So let's first start the IPython console by typing IPython. We know that when we type cd in the command prompt or PowerShell, we get the address of the current directory, and the same result we can get in IPython by typing %cd. If you have automagic enabled, as it is by default, you don't need to type in the single percentage explicitly for the line magics. IPython will scan its internal list of magic functions and call one if it exists. So what this means is that if the automagic is on, which is by default set on, then we don't have to write the prefix percentage explicitly for line magics. Like we can write %cd as cd, uh, and we will get the same result. So what will happen if we turn off the automagic function? So let's do it. So we can write, so for that we have to write %automagic, and then we get the message the automagic is off, %prefix is needed for the line magics. So now if I write cd, then I will get an error. So now to get the functionality of the cd, I have to write %cd, which means that I have to explicitly define the prefix. So here I get the same result. So let's for now turn on the automagic function. So for this we again have to write the same code, which is %automagic. So now the automagic is on, %prefix is not needed for the line magics. Cell magics always require an explicit double percentage prefix. Automagic calling only works for the line magics. This is self-explanatory. The automagic system has the lowest possible precedence in the name searches, so you can freely use variables with the same names as magic commands. If a magic command is shadowed by a variable, you will need the explicit percentage prefix to use it. This means is that suppose that I want to create a variable cd which stores a value, let's say 45, and then if I print the cd, then it will give me the value of 45 and not the address of the current directory, even if the automagic is on. So to get the current directory's address, we have to explicitly define it. So now, and we can see that we get the desired result. So suppose that I delete the variable del cd. Now I can use the cd for the address of the current directory. Let's see. So here we can see that by deleting the variable, we can again use the cd for the address of the current directory. So here I am using Jupyter Notebook because as we know IPython is the kernel in Jupyter for Python. We can either use Jupyter or IPython console, but there is a little apparent change. We'll observe that as we proceed. So the first magic function is magic. So if I run this cell, so let me expand this. So, so here we can see that we get a docstring of IPython's magic functions. So it contains all the line and cell magic functions, just like the same way in the official documentation on the website. So this magic function gives us the whole documentation. So suppose that if I want to get docstring of a particular magic function, then for that then for that I have to use single question mark or double question mark. So the next magic function is colors. So let's see its docstring. So it says switch color scheme for prompts, info system and exception handlers. Currently implemented schemes. So it has three schemes: no color, Linux and light BG. Color scheme names are not case sensitive, that these are not case sensitive. And it also gave us an example. To get a plain black and white terminal, use colors, no color. So I am going to use this magic function in the IPython console because there the color schemes are more apparent. So first let's try out the no color scheme. Let's write some expression. So here we can see the color of the input and the output line. So let's change the color scheme to light BG. So here we can see the difference in the color, and by default the color scheme is Linux. Next magic function is run. We can use this magic function to execute a Python file and load its variable classes functions into the memory for later use. So here I am executing main.py file. So let's see the contents of this file. So here I created a class power which has two methods, square and cube. They return square and cube of a number respectively. And then we have a for loop which prints square and cube of numbers from 1 to 5. And then we have a string variable, and then we are just printing a statement which says print statement. So let's run the cell. So here we can see the output. 1 square is 1 and cube is 1, 2 square is 4 and cube is 8, and so on. And the last statement is the print statement. But by executing the file, we also get the access to the class power. So I created an object here, and through object I am calling the method cube by passing an argument 19. So it gives me the cube of 19. So let's see. And we already know that there is a global variable name, and then we get its value just a string variable. So the next magic function is load, which is pretty much same. So let's run the cell. So here we can see that the first line gets commented out. This comes very handy because when we create our data science project in Jupyter, we have to import a set of particular libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, or sometimes Plotly. So this makes our task very easy, as we just have to create a file with these imports and then import it using load magic function. So in documentation we can see uh, that it is defined as load code into the current front end, and it has few arguments like r, where we have to specify the range of the lines to load from the source file. Second argument is the s, specify function or classes to load from Python source. So this helps us to load specific classes or functions and not the whole program. And the third argument, don't ask confirmation for loading source above 200,000 characters. And the fourth argument is include the user's namespace when searching for source code. So what that meant is that instead of this code, we can write a particular code that gets repeated in every project. So in that way, we only have to load this particular file. Next magic functions, which are cell magic functions, are HTML, SVG, and JS. So first the HTML. So here I created a header h1 and then a tag and then a div tag for a box which has the text. The sources are in the link, and the fourth tag is the image tag, and the fourth tag is the image tag. So let's run it. So here we can see the h1 tag, the a tag. So let's click it, and then the box, and then the image tag. So here comes the FreeCodeCamps website. The next cell magic is SVG, which is scalable vector graphics, which is known for its resolution independent nature. So first I create a rectangle and then a text and then a polygon which has a shape of star. So let's run it. So here we can see. Third cell magic is JS. So let's read its documentation. So here, run the cell block of JavaScript code, alias of JavaScript. So before running the cell, let's open the console. So let's clear the console. So in the cell I am creating a variable a which stores the string and then it shows the string in the console. So let's run this. So here we can see the string. Let's see you in the browser console. So let's close it. So the next cell magic is LaTeX. So LaTeX is a software system for document preparation. So it is very helpful when we want to represent formulas or equations. So here I created some basic formulas and equations. So let's run it. So here we can see uh, them. They look pretty for representational purposes. The next cell magic is history, which is very important. It prints out the input history. So let's run it. So here we can see the input history. Here we can here we can see that the first cell that we ran was a magic, and then colors and so on. So let's read its documentation. By default, the input history is printed without the line numbers, so it can be directly pasted into an editor. Use -n to show them. So here you can see that we get the number lines 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's read more. By default, all the input history from the current session is displayed. Ranges of history can be indicated using the syntax. So we can also get a particular input history. For example, let's say that I want the input history at cell number 4, which is this. So I just have to write 4. So this gives me the desired result. Let's read more. Lines 4 to 6 current session. So we can also give the range like from 4 to, let's say, 10. So it prints out the input line 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Multiple ranges can be entered separated by spaces. Thus, the same syntax is used by macros save, edit and rerun. And let's see the parameters. We have used the -n, which prints the number line, and then comes the -o, and then comes the -o. Also print outputs for each input. So let's see -o. So let's make the range small, say from 6. So here we can see the input and the output, and then comes -p, print classic triple greater than Python prompts before each input, which is useful for making documentation and in conjunction with -o for producing doc tests ready output. So we can use -p. So this gives us a good look. So now this looks pretty. And then comes the -t, print the translated history as IPython understands it. IPython filters your input and convert it all into the valid Python source before executing it. Things like magics or aliases are turned into function calls, for example. So let's use -t. Let's change the range, let's say from 2 to 5. So let's also remove the other parameters. So you can see that we get the code that we can run in the Python file. -f filename, instead of printing the output to the screen, redirect it to the given file. The file is always overwritten though when it can. Uh, IPython asks for confirmation first. In particular, uh, uh, running the command history-f file name from the IPython notebook. Interface will replace file name even if it exists without confirmation. So let's try this. So let's change the range, let's say 7. And let's write -f. Let's give the file name, let's say foo.py. We can give it txt or py. So let's run it. So here I open the file foo.py. So before running the file, we have to import one thing from IPython. Import get IPython. And now we are able to run this file. We know that there are many system commands and they are very useful to us. Some of them are time, date, dir, ping, cls, echo, and tree. We can use them in IPython. We can use them directly, or we can create an alias name for them. So for direct purpose, we have to add prefix the exclamation mark, and for the alias we have to create a variable name and then the system command. So let's see both the ways in the IPython console. So let me first run them directly by adding the exclamation mark. So let's run them using alias. So first we have to write a null function alias and then the variable name, let's say d, and then the system command dir, which gives us the files and folders in the current directory. So let's print out d. We can see the list. Let's also try the echo. So for that, alias, let's say e and then echo. The echo takes an argument. So let's say so now if I can see that the string gets printed here. The next magic function is pylab. So let's see its documentation. Load NumPy and matplotlib to work interactively. This function lets you activate pylab, matplotlib, NumPy, and interactive support at any point during the IPython session. Pylab makes the following imports: NumPy, matplotlib, and then from matplotlib, pylab, mlab, and pyplot. And it also gives them their alias names like np and plt, and we also get the display from IPython and uh, the pylab tools from the IPython code. If you pass no import all, the last two imports, which are these, will be excluded. So that's why I'm using this argument. So let's run this. Before going to the next magic function, let's create some variables. So here I create a numpy array with 2 rows and 7 columns, and all the elements are ones, and all the elements are the one, and then I created a data frame here. uh, then I created a list, then a int variable, then a string variable, and then a float variable. So let's run this. So the magic function is foo. Let's see its documentation. So here we can see. So here we can see that it says print all interactive variables with some minimal formatting. If any arguments are given, only variables whose type matches one only variables whose type matches one of these are printed. For example, so let's first run this. So here we can see that it prints. So here we can see that it prints the variables. So let's say that I want to see only those variables which have the type int. So here I pass the argument int. And so here we can see that a and I. We can also pass multiple arguments like int and let's say str. So we get the result a, b, d, I, and name. The next magic function is foo ls. So let's see. Return a sorted list of all interactive variables. So it gives us a list. For example, so it gives us the list. Here also we can pass multiple arguments. So here we can see that it gives us a, c, d, and I, and the third magic function in this category is whose. So let's see its documentation. Like who, but gives some extra information about each variable. The same type filtering of who can be applied here. So let's first run it without the arguments. So here we can see that it has 3 columns: variable, type, and data info. So the first variable is power, which is the class. So class is the type, and this is the info about the class. The second variable is a, which has the type int and the value 9009, and so on. And we can also pass multiple arguments like the first two. So we can see that we get the ND array, int, and the float. These 3 magic functions are very useful because we can get the list of all the elements we have used in a particular project, and if any variable is redundant, we can delete it. The function is quick ref. So let's run it. Let me expand it. So here we get quick and small details about all the magic functions. So this can be very helpful. The next magic function is psearch. So let's read this documentation. So it says search for object in namespace by wildcard. So let's run the cell. So we can get that we get all the options, and we random triangular, NP random test, NP standard T, standard normal, standard gamma, standard uniform, standard sample, and so on. The last magic function is so here I have given the echo command an alias name E. So let's remove it. So for that we have to write an alias and then E. If we now print the E, we can see that we get an error. We have also used variable D for system command dir. So let's also an alias it. So for that I just have to write an alias D, and then if I now print D, then we will get an error. There are many other line and cell magic functions. So you can just go through the documentation. I have only covered some of the most common magic functions. There are many other magic functions, so please go through the documentation. I have only covered some of the most common magic functions. So that's for all. Thank you.